Okay, wait. Let's see. And that's probably the pizza. No, come on. Why is the stream health terrible? Oh no. Okay, so yeah, the stream health keeps getting sicker. See, we're live right now, but oh, you brought pizza.
I'm gonna take this. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Let's eat it. You should bring some water over here. Let's see. How's the stream? Because it says that it's kind of low on my end, but I'm not sure since I don't believe this anymore. Try to see if I can get a couple other people in here and see if they can hear me. Let's see. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I keep saying stream help. Why is that? I mean, I'm connected directly. Yes, but I'm trying to see if I can actually get the connection to stay okay. Since I have it connected directly, but it's acting like it's on Wi-Fi, but it's not. I have it wired, and I'm not sure why I keep saying that it's not maintaining smooth streaming. So can you even hear me, or... Let's see. Guys here. Me. Is it too laggy? Oh man. There we go. We can hear you. I can hear you just fine, but you're dropping some frames here and there. Okay. We're trying to figure out what's going on with that. I'm not sure, which is weird. I didn't want to stream at home. Yeah, and we're eating pizza too, so.
It was good.
It's good. It's a pizza that everybody hates because we've added pineapple to it. It's really tasty. Okay, perfect. So my brother is joining me today, and we wanted to talk about furries. Andres, if you can come over here, because Andres just ran away. And he is new to all furry stuff.
Hello. Yep, I've been working now for Mixed Candy for probably, I want to say, close to a year, and Valentina's been showing me, Latin Vixen's been showing me the ropes with making costumes. But not only that, she also has been showing me a couple of conventions. We went to one in Japan, which is pretty cool, the JMOF convention, but I haven't really been properly introduced to an American convention. So I'm pretty excited for the one that's about to come up.
Yeah, so we're going to be going to FWA. And Andres has never been to that con because, as he said, JMOF was his first convention. So I started him off going overseas to the first convention. And you liked it, didn't you? Thought it was pretty good?
I loved it. The fursuits were so cute. In Japan, they're called kemonos. Yeah. And they're just super adorable. The way the Japanese work with their furries, they're just really cute and cuddly. So I really liked it a lot. Many hugs were had.
That was so cute.
Yeah.
Would you say they're like super different than the ones here in the States?
Well, the thing about it is, over there, they had like super anime kawaii eyes. And not only that, I saw a lot of like very round fursuits, like very round. I've seen a couple of round ones in the United States or in Europe, but I've never seen actual ones where it's like they're like super round. So I thought that was really cool. We saw a really cool one that was a Digimon. Yeah. It was a blue one, which was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was the Vmon. Yeah, it was. he does professional work over there, which was pretty neat. I've seen a couple of his things, and I just thought he was just a furry, but he's actually like a big name mascot maker over there, and that does a lot of work, and it's actually pretty nice stuff. Techniques over there are very different than the ones here in the States, because I had to look at everything, and the foam, just the way that they go about doing the eyes. I would say the eyes are the things that really make them stand out compared to the other ones.
Exactly. And it's very funny because I didn't really notice this, but I usually saw a lot of the kimono, the Japanese furries, have like this type of machine popped in their mouth. And I was like, what is that? And apparently over there, like the way they do their eyes, they get very foggy. So they have to use this little fan so they can pretty much clear it up. So I thought that was interesting.
You'll see them putting little boxes in their mouth. And it's just a fan to keep their eyes from fogging up, because over in Japan, at least, it gets kind of hot like it does in Florida. So the humidity is kind of insane over there. And you could even feel a little bit even with the winter and stuff. And it was kind of like Florida anyway. So that's why I knew that.
If you guys have only been to like American or European, which are awesome. I haven't been there personally, but I've seen videos of them on YouTube and they look really cool. If you have the funds for it, definitely check out J-Moth. It is really, really cool. Like, it was a eye-opening experience. And it was like my first full convention that I got to experience. I'm actually really interested to see come FWA. Come FWA, that I'll be able to see the American and the European furries. And if there's some J-Moth furries in FWA, that'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah. So I wanted to take him to MFF last year, but it didn't work out. We just had too much stuff at the end of the year for it to work. But that's why I took him to J-Moth. I'm like, you have to try J-Moth and see how you like it. And J-Moth only had like 1,400 people, which is huge for Japan, but it's kind of small for the States, especially when you're dealing with over 10,000 people like at MFF. And I think FWA had some pretty big numbers last year. So it'll be really interesting to see what he thinks of the American furries. And I've already kind of told him that they party a lot, and they're a lot louder and a lot in your face.
I'm okay with that.
They're a little different than the ones at J-Moth. The ones at J-Moth were a little bit quieter, and there's no crazy room parties or anything like that. Everything seemed a little more scheduled. It was a little bit more chill.
It's interesting. Skyraf137 says, I am Canadian. Hello there.
Hi Canadian, Skyraf.
He's like, go Canucks. I'm actually kind of curious. I don't know if you know this, but is there any cool conventions in Canada?
I have to think of the name, because I think they have a camping one. I went out in the woods, but I keep forgetting the names of them. So if you guys know the names for these conventions, be sure to like drop them in the comments, because I actually don't remember all of them. I'm trying to think of the name, because they were just talking about it not that long ago. But there are conventions pretty much in like everywhere. Oh, thank you, awesome Rusty Rex.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm gonna read what you said. Just dropping to say hello to everyone. Love you all. You're looking forward to Detective Pikachu. And what Pokemon do you like the most?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
No.
Rusty Rex knows what's up.
Okay, so Rusty, I love Pokemon a lot, but I don't know what I think of that movie. Pikachu is cute. I don't care for the voice of Pikachu. I think it should have been Danny DeVito. Yeah,
me too. Honestly, Danny DeVito should have been like the perfect role for him. Like, I'm telling you, like, Ryan Reynolds is great, you know, but everyone's always like, oh, look, it's Deadpool Chew.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
it's so bad.
Kind of makes sense. No, but yeah, so you were going with the Pokemon movie. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Well, okay, so one of my favorite Pokemon shows up in the movie in just a little clip, but one of like the two favorite ones, because Abra is my favorite Pokemon, hands down. And I always get Abra, and I love all the different evolutions for it, like Alakazam and Kadabra and all those. But I love Charizard, and they made Charizard look wrinkly and old. Like he's been out in the sun too long and needs water.
Yeah, I know exactly. He's like, kill me.
I thought it was kind of scary. I don't know. Like, I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of fursuits based on these characters. I mean, I don't know if we'll see them like at furry cons. We'll probably see them more anime cons, trying to do like the exact look of the movie. I think they're gonna be terrifying. But I don't know. I'm skeptical if the movie's gonna be good. The main actor doesn't seem to reel me in at all.
Yeah,
it seems boring, and I don't know. Like, maybe it's just going to go off on gags.
All right, sis, it's my turn. I want to let the viewers know what my Pokemon is. So, what I think about the movie, yeah, I think it's going to be all right. Hopefully it's good. But my favorite Pokemon, for me personally, is Snorlax. He is my spirit animal. I love to sleep and I love to eat. Maybe my sister might not want to hear that too much because I'm like, just low-key passing out. But yeah, that is my favorite Pokemon. And not only that, I also want to say hello to Digo the Husky?
Yeah, Digo the Husky.
Welcome to the chat.
Hi.
He's like, hello.
Oh, see, they like Lucario.
Oh, Lucario?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be in the movie.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything of Lucario.
No. Mr. Mime scares me.
That's stuff of nightmares.
Licky tongue looks kind of terrifying. But the tongue was like super realistic and just weird and overly shiny. From like the little previews that I've seen, I mean, even Jigglypuff looks like nightmare fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I don't know what it was with Legendary Films to actually be like, let's make these Pokemon who are normally cute, really weird looking or serious looking, you know?
Yeah.
I understand they were trying to take it out into like the whole real world aspect of it, which is awesome. But the only one that looks cute is Pikachu, for the most part.
For the most part.
But you see Charizard and you're just like, what the hell is going on?
I was so angry because I saw Charizard and I'm like, oh my god, yes, it's Charizard. Like, we finally get to see this character. Like, it's so cool. And I love dragons, but then he looks like a wrinkly old man.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And like, somebody should put some moisturizer on that poor dragon.
Oh, look at that. We're getting 9 people watching.
Oh, wow, yay! Oh, the stream health is back.
I know, exactly.
Oh, goodness.
It was like playing with us. It's like, nah, this is whack right now. The health is poor. But then people are popping. It's like, oh, okay, sure. It's good.
It's because we're eating pineapple pizza. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, but pineapple pizza. Look at that.
The funniest thing is when she ordered pineapple pizza for the first time here, when I started working here, I was just like, what is this witchcraft? I'm like, I don't understand this. But actually eating it is really, really good.
I don't know why everybody on Twitter has such an issue with pineapple pizza, which I think is delicious. I like the salty and the sweet. So I don't really have a problem with it. But the best thing is if I order pineapple pizza and I want leftovers, I definitely am guaranteed to have leftovers unless Andres is around.
Yeah.
Because nobody touches it. So if you don't want to share your pizza, get pineapple on your pizza.
Yeah, I'm like the transportable trash can. I'm like, every time my sister doesn't want to eat something or finish something, I'm just like, come over here.
Yeah.
I got you, fam.
Skyraft is saying that the voice of Pikachu is Nolan North, but no, it's actually
it's Ryan Reynolds.
Which I don't know. I think
Nolan North would be amazing. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's like Ryan Reynolds, I don't know. I have this like love-hate relationship with him. I think he's an amazing Deadpool. He works perfect for that character, but I don't know if he works for Pikachu, but I haven't seen the movie. I mean, the movie's not out, so I can't tell, but I'm just not sold on it, and I love Pokemon, so I just feel like it was a cash grab.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they could have used, if we're going to go off for cash grabs, they could have used Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
and
but funny enough is, I think from rumors, or I saw from one of the posters that the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie has Chris Pratt in it. He's like a police officer or something.
Did you see how creepy he looks?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't understand what's the deal with that. Like, they messed up Sonic's eyes. Like, they closed him up where it's like they don't have that white in the middle.
But they separated it.
I know, exactly.
Like a lot.
Exactly.
So now he's just like this blue rodent with really weird torso. Oh, and Nike shoes. They're sponsored now.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Which I think is weird. So it's just kind of like...
Nike shoes.
Why are you... Oh, and this is the other thing. Grossed me out. No socks on his shoes.
No socks on...
No. So he's got stinky shoes because he's got no socks. He's got sponsored shoes. He's got 2 eyeballs now instead of the one mono eye.
That's so weird.
And it's just kind of odd. It just seems like really lazy design on the character when... I mean, it's not like I'm saying, oh, wow, original Sonic was so different. But at the same time, it is very iconic, kind of like how Pikachu is. And then all of a sudden they decided, we're just going to erase the things that make Sonic Sonic.
Yep.
And we're just going to go with this. Because I think his hands are white. They're not, he doesn't have gloves anymore.
Oh, hey, Kai.
Hi, Kai.
Welcome to the stream.
But
I agree. No, but I agree with you 100% on that. And it kind of it bothers me. I don't even know what's with the executives or the directors or whoever has the decisions to make Sonic to actually do that, you know?
Well, it's odd because people love Sonic. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Sonic. I always thought he looked a little weird. I mean, his games are fine, but it's just, I just thought it was a kind of a strange character.
No, what about Knuckles? I know the way to Ebola.
That's so bad. I actually got a patch that I know the way.
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Speed on the Queen.
I'm getting it from this website called Wish, which I thought was the biggest scam site for the longest time, and I told people to stay away from it, but it's actually real, which is weird. I was like, oh, this is definitely a scam site because this was advertised on Facebook, and we all know that a lot of the weird stuff on Facebook is usually kind of scammy. Yeah. But
we got some stories to tell in the future about our mom buying all this stuff from Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook is not funsies. But going back to the original conversation here about furries and stuff, you're pretty new to it.
Yes.
You don't have a fursona or anything like that.
No, not as of yet. I have the pleasure of working at Mixed Candy right now. Is I get to try out different suits. I get to try out different animals, and it's kind of hard because the thing is, like, at first, like, I wanted to get something wolf related because I really enjoyed the wolf, but then the wolf switched to the lion, and then it switched to the ram. So I'm like, I don't know.
So, if you guys could give him a persona, what kind of animal do you think Andres would fall into? So, maybe you can tell them, like, what sort of stuff do you like to do?
I like to video game and I like to eat.
Okay, so video games and eating. Oh, and you mentioned sleeping.
I'm sleeping. So I'm probably gonna fursuit as a sloth.
Perfect. Just fall asleep in the corner. You're like, bye guys, I'm going to bed.
That'd be pretty funny.
They're like, oh, that one's not moving a lot.
So
is he dead? It's like, no, he's asleep.
So let me ask you this: this is gonna be like your third or fourth time going to FWA?
No, I've been So if we go back to the beginning of FWA, I was the first guest of honor of FWA.
Really? Wow.
Back in 2004, when FWA was held in this tiny hotel.
I don't know, Bear. That's a good one too. That's a good one.
Yeah, actually, yeah, bears hibernate, so you could sleep all day. But I started going to FWA back in 2004 when they invited me as their first guest, and I actually really liked that con because I could drive to it, and I still can because I live in Florida, so Atlanta is only like 6 hours away. It's okay. Hey, I've only eaten one piece.
I'm gonna give you one right now.
One piece.
I feel bad.
I know, one piece.
I'm actually gonna give you all this rest is gonna be yours. Actually, all that rest is. I'm like eating all the pizza. It's just so delicious.
I'm talking too much. That's the problem. But I went to FWA back in 2004, and it was a really small con. It was really cute, and I wasn't sure if it was going to survive or not. But we did have a lot of people that arrived, and it was actually really fun, and a lot of people really enjoyed it, and of course they kept on coming, and the con has grown to be a pretty sizable convention. And of course they are no longer in that tiny hotel that was next to a cemetery, which we had warnings while we were there saying, please don't fursuit around the cemetery. So if you were at FWA back in 2004, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, which that also, I guess, dates me a little bit and makes me feel really old.
Yeah, it's my sister's been into it for quite a while now.
Well, I started back in like 2000. So in 2000, I found furry online, and the internet was still pretty new to us. We got the internet in '98, so we didn't really know what much was. We're like, oh, let's type in dirty words. Woo.
Whoa.
We'll start off with the tame ones like poop. And see what happens. Like back when we had like AOL.
Oh, A. Johnson.
Oh, look at that. Hey, hello. But I ended up finding furry through a really weird site that I don't know if it exists anymore because I'll have to look it up. Called Temple of Luna, which was a werewolf site.
Temple of Luna?
Yeah, it had a bunch of artists, furry artists, and just anthro artist and transformation artist back in the day, and it was all about werewolves, and I thought werewolves were cool. And I didn't know anything about furry, and I was like, I want to draw cool, snarly wolf people. I'm like, and I'm gonna look it up online, and of course, GTE, which was our internet of the time, used that little web crawler search engine before we had Google or anything like that.
America Online, you get 100 hours free, guys.
Oh, that was so bad. But yeah, I did that, and I found it through there because I started seeing that there were a lot of costumed people. And I'm like, oh, what is that? Like, that's kind of cool. I thought it was anime cosplay sort of stuff, but it wasn't. And then I started clicking and clicking and clicking, and then I found there were conventions where people just dressed up as animals, and I thought, well, that's like the one thing that I liked about cosplay, where I could pick the animal characters I wanted to cosplay as. So I ended up going to Anthrocon in 2002. I told Mom, hey, I'm graduating this year. I'm going to go. I dragged Daniel, and he hated it.
Really?
Yeah, Daniel was terrified of it.
Daniel's one of our brothers.
So there's 3 brothers. Andres, Daniel, Felipe. The other 2 look exactly the same as this one because they're triplets.
Yeah, we're triplets.
So you've seen this one, you saw the other.
Exactly. It's carbon copies.
Yeah, you just move around, and then you've seen all of them. But I went to Anthrocon, 2002 with Daniel. It wasn't Daniel's cup of tea. Daniel's like, no, I'm not interested in this at all. And I went with the idea that most people were girls. So I thought almost everybody dressed up in these costumes is going to be a girl. And I got there, and I was all excited to meet people. I had just turned 19, so I was really young. Daniel was 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he was turning 15. Yeah, you're turning 15 that year, but he was still 14, so he was a baby. And we got there, and we were instantly freaked out. Daniel wanted to go into the room and hide, but I said, no, you have to help me because I want to do like artist alley and sell art and stuff. And then I was like, all right, I guess. But it was a little weird for him. I felt kind of bad because I forced him to come out and see stuff. And I was like, you're going to have to be with me. I'm not going to this alone. But I found some really cool people there eventually, like the second day. Because the first day I was kind of terrified. And I felt like I made a mistake because I'm like, oh, I don't know. And the internet was still so new. So everything that I learned online was kind of not, I don't know, accurate, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that.
So it was kind of scary, especially for like a 19-year-old girl, just turned 19. You're like, yay, I'm naive. I know nothing about the world. Nobody's going to hurt me. Yeah. I mean, I was clearly dumb. And
I was clearly dumb.
So it was just one of those things that I'm glad I experienced it. But I think next time, actually there's not next time, but if I could go back in time, I probably should have started with a convention that wasn't as big as Anthrocon at the time.
Yeah.
I went online, I found like, what's the biggest furry convention? Oh, it's in Philadelphia because that's where it was before. Now it's in Pittsburgh. And I decided, well, I'll just go. And whatever. We'll figure it out. Now it's Pittsburgh. But the convention is fine. It's a huge convention. I don't go to it anymore. I used to go every single year. I went to it every single year for like 10 years. It was just a long, like, I went a lot. But the thing is it changed to Pittsburgh. I'm not a huge fan of Pittsburgh because I don't know. It's just not really for me. The one convention that I do like to go to, but it's always in kind of a weird time to go, is when I wanted to take you, which is MFF.
MFF?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always hear that's like the mecca of conventions. It's like one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one.
It's the biggest one now.
Yeah.
It's like MFF has been a go-to con for me. I skipped it last year because I just didn't have the time to go. And especially because we are doing JMOF now. I've been doing it at least for 2 years, and you did Japan the previous year, and then you did it again this year with me. It's really close because it's like December, and then we have holidays, and then we go to Japan, and then it's like con after con after con, and it gets pretty busy.
Yeah, exactly.
But MFF is a worthwhile convention, I think. Even if you're new to it, it's amazing. The weather's great. It feels like you're in an air-conditioned area everywhere because it's freezing outside, so wearing a fursuit is a good idea. So
yeah, exactly. So you're
bring
not
a
freezing
suit,
your butt off. Yeah.
so you're not gonna die. But no, it's a solid con. Like, definitely recommend.
I'm actually kind of curious. I mean, I know there's a little bit of a delay when it comes into the stream, but I would love to know for the chat, what is your favorite convention to go to, and what is your reason for it? Mm-hmm. So just as a little heads up, because I'm always curious to see what other people think about. This household is like strictly MFF. Yes, so that's the best one. No,
we like it because we've got a lot of friends that live up there, and then Roscoe does stuff for the convention itself. He's part of staff, so I mean, it helps because he likes to help with the people that run it. Because I mean, we're all friends and everything.
Yeah.
But there's, I mean, if we're going to talk about conventions, I mean, we can talk about even the conventions that are overseas. Like I used to do EF in Germany, and that's an amazing convention, worthwhile going.
Wow.
You haven't been to that one yet, but it's awesome. It's just that it's a little complicated to get a hotel room.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's the same thing like BLFC. I mean, it's the same thing like MFF. It's the same thing with all these big conventions. They're turning into these massive events that are really complicated to get rooms. Mm-hmm. So if you're not ready to go, like the second the room's open and your computer doesn't break or whatever amount of reasons, you may not get a room. So, because think about it, there's thousands of people trying to get maybe hundreds of rooms. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem with that.
Oh, interesting.
So if you guys do end up going to MFF, you do get a room at one of the multiple hotels that are there. Because even if you don't get a room at the main hotel, it's fine. The other ones are all connected. It's not a bad thing. Cause it's just you haven't done that one yet, but you'll see how big if you end up going. Like the expanse of these hotels are.
Yeah.
And it's cool how they set that stuff up. EF, I had rooms there. I felt bad because I've had to cancel the last couple of years, and I want to see my friends over there because. I mean, I miss them. I really want to see them. But the problem has been securing flights to go over there without them completely shooting up for us. Because the thing is I try to buy tickets and make sure I have a hotel, make sure I have everything together. But a lot of the time, no, I can't. A lot of the time, I'm just like, I don't know if I can throw the money down for the hotel and then be able to afford the flight.
So while you take your bite of that pizza, I want to see what Kyle Morris said.
Oh no, what's breaking?
Steam wants to update.
Yeah, Steam.
Never been to any, but would love to hit EF as I can hit the Nürburgring and the Autobahn at the same time. Kill many birds with fewer stones, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Wow. Have you been to those as well? With the Autobahn or Nürburgring?
The Autobahn, yes, because we had to drive. I didn't get to drive because I got too scared driving at those speeds over there and in a rental car because I knew I was going to kill myself. Mm-hmm. But it's awesome over there. Germany's amazing. Totally worth going. The con's super fun. They have this really cool puppet show that they do. Oh, it's Maple. Hi.
Hey, Maple.
They do this amazing puppet show that you can tell that they spend pretty much the entire year working on this. They do custom puppets, custom everything, and really worth checking that out. Even if you're not into puppets and stuff, it's really well done. But amazing dances and everything. That was the one thing about EF that I would always go crazy for. The dances were so good.
The dances, yeah.
Like even the dances like at Anthrocon, even though I don't go to that con anymore really, the dances are like top notch. They're amazing. Same thing at SMFF, same thing as FWA. And this year at FWA they're going to have a music guest. They're going to have
Insane Clown Posse.
no, I keep forgetting their name, but you can go check them on the website now that I'm completely drawing a blank. Thinking of the cartoon.
Is it a famous?
Mystery Skulls.
Mystery Skulls?
Yeah, they're really cool. I like their music. But they decided to invite them, which I thought was really cool. So that's something that I kind of wanted to touch on too. FWA invited a non-furry that was appealing to, of course, a lot of furries with their music, and it was a musical guest. I think that's amazing. I think a lot more conventions should do that. I do think that it's like, to me, it's a little strange how like Anthrocon does guests because they pretty much only focus on guests that are outside of the fandom. And a lot of the times I think it's almost like completely eliminating like, you know, people from the fandom and only going after like industry people, which I guess works for them and makes the convention, to me, makes it feel less homey and more business, I guess. because it's like, well, yeah, they work in the industry and all this stuff, and they work for Disney or they work for Universal and all this, and it's like, that's awesome, but I don't know, I've always felt a big disconnect with the guests at Anthrocon compared to the guests at other conventions. But I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just a little different.
It's like, and that's truth. That's all. It's
no,
not opinion. It's everything.
No. You gotta introduce the baby.
Yeah, here we have little Keegan. He is what type of breed is? I know he's Chihuahua, but he's something.
He's just Chihuahua.
Oh, it's just Chihuahua.
Yeah. He is just your average fuzzy Chihuahua. Look at that.
He's adorable, but he can be a bit of an a-hole sometimes.
No.
He's just like, oh look, it's a spot that I can pee on. Cool, pees on everywhere.
No, he's my cute baby.
No, but yeah, he is super adorable. I love the fuzzes on the side. Makes him look so regal and majestic.
My little lion. So I want to ask you guys another question. Like, what specifically would you like us to talk about when it comes to furry? Because we can talk about all sorts of different aspects about furry, but I want to see what you guys are thinking about. Because I can talk fursuits, I can talk cons. I mean, I can talk all these things, but I'm curious of what you guys wanted to see. Because the thing with these streams, what we're trying to do is try to do a stream weekly. Because right now we're kind of testing this. We set it up here at work because I can connect directly to the router, and it's just a lot easier. Oh, you're getting coffee, right?
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's actually the pot going on out.
Oh, okay. But it's just easier for me to do this weekly and then start, like, talking about like different stuff, different aspects and whatnot. So right now it's more of a, hey guys, like, what do you guys want to hear about? What are the rules? This is one Maple just asked this one. What are the rules about covering your face around the world? Here in the US, they don't like us in public. Well, so in Japan, they seem to be pretty chill about it. That you could just pretty much wear, I mean, you put on the cat mask everywhere.
Yeah.
And you were walking around and at a bar and you just put it on. They don't, over there, they don't mind.
I feel like in Japan, it's like the land of otaku, kawaii culture, that everybody's already dressed up, whether it's through clothes or through fursuits or whatever. So for them, they don't look at it as like, oh, they're getting covered up. Oh my God, like they're gonna try to steal something. Nah, they just think it's cute.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in Florida, and if you go into private establishments like a store, they will tell you to leave. Unless you know the people or you set something up. Most of the time, they're going to be like, please get out. Because they don't know if you're going to go to steal or you're going to go to trash something or create the next viral video of you like burning the store, who knows, with your face covered. And I mean, that makes sense. But I mean, I've suited on cruise ships and it hasn't been an issue. I mean, it just comes down to asking for permission and then seeing what they're going to say. And of course, tell them exactly what you're going to do. Show them the costumes if they haven't issue with it, why you're doing it. I mean, don't be cryptic, don't be shady about it, because if you are, they're just not going to let you do anything. But even in the States, you can get away with it a lot of the time. It just depends on how you go about, asking for it. But
yeah, exactly.
Even when I suited around, like in Germany, it wasn't an issue. I mean, I've suited around all sorts of different national parks, and I haven't really had too much of a problem. I've been kicked out of like Best Buy. But that's because
that's my sister, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, because I decided to suit around there and a Michael's and a Joann's because I was being edgy, I guess. It's like, must buy my fabric with my fursuit. But no, aside from that, I think it's pretty easy, even in the States. I mean, I did get away with suiting, and it's not allowed anymore. It kind of was never allowed, but I got away with it a few times. When we did Mickey's Not So Scary and we went in costume, of course they changed that.
Mickey don't like that.
Mickey did not like us walking around like that. Not because we looked like the mascots. It's just that we could potentially get hurt because we couldn't see very well where we were going. And definitely it gets very dark for Mickey's Not So Scary. And in suit, it was actually kind of sketchy. I mean, I did it 3 times, something like that, 2 or 3 times. A few of the times that I went with my friends, I was also the spotter for people and taking photos because it got pretty dark. And there were a couple of times where I was kind of tripping over stuff and I'm like, hey, yeah, it's cool and all, but I think I'm gonna die. So, and it got really, really warm
Like
too.
Noop.
But that was neat for photos more than anything. It was more like I would rather just pop my head on and take it off.
A cop sat at our picnic once. They didn't say anything, but we called the park ahead of time. That's smart.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, especially when you're dealing in an area where there could be children and families and other people, and all of a sudden there's a giant adult dressed in a dog, maybe luring kids over by saying, look how cute
Free
I am.
candy, kids.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm not saying like they're going to do something weird, but as a random person, you're like, why is this person interacting with like my kids? Or I mean, it can look weird. It can look really, really strange. So it's a good thing to call ahead and tell them, hey, we're going to be doing an event. And that's usually not a problem. I mean, if we did that downtown over here, especially like this weekend, they're doing the pig in the pond. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we would get mobbed and then eventually kicked out from the festival that they're having over there because they wouldn't know who we're with. They don't know who we're working with. They don't know if we're, I don't know, if you want to go really negative, you could be like a child molester under that costume. That's the thing. It's like you just have to be careful and, you know, tell people what you're going to do. And most of the time it's not an issue, because that was the thing that years back I wanted to do charity work with a bunch of people, and we approached a couple of different organizations. This was like a long time ago, and they said if we wanted to do that, we needed to kind of set up a group, a non-profit group, and everybody would have to get background checks, because if you're going to be running around, like, let's say a hospital where there's a lot of children or parks and stuff, and you're going to do non-charity based events and be representing another company, they wanted to make sure that you didn't have some sort of like a sketchy background.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, that makes sense. I'm not a parent, but I would feel way safer if I had that information, especially if you're doing an event like you're dressed as the Easter Bunny. And it's like, hey, who's this person? You know, it's like, that's a little weird. But no, most of the time I think suiting almost everywhere is pretty easy.
Let me ask you this, Sis. Out of
as I'm going to shove a piece of pizza.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you can
take a nice slice of that pizza so you enjoy it.
What for you, for like the past recent, like I want to say 5 conventions that you've been to, what has been like the most memorable thing, or one of the most memorable things these past 5 conventions that you've been to, that you've seen, that you thought were just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I'm so happy I'm in the fandom, you know? Was it like the dance competitions?
The dance comps have been really cool, because there's a lot of talent that, I mean, that's showcased in such a cool way. I love it. I love watching the dance comps. It's usually really hard to find a place to sit. Yeah. But it's neat to watch people dance in really big padded costumes, because I know when I'm walking around in a padded costume, I'm very restricted. And even without a padded costume, I still have issues dancing. So I think it's really cool when I see people dancing around the cons with this. I mean, I wiggle and look like I'm having a seizure, and that's my dancing. But no, the way that they dance, it's pretty awesome. I like it.
All right, let me see. So Steven Z says, advancing technology. People have been adding iced eyes and tech to suits. Iced.
I know it looked like ice.
LCD eyes and tech to suits. Are there features you desire / look forward to coming or seeing more in your suits? Heads up displays instead of using your eyes? Well, that's a question for you.
Well, so the way that I've always looked at suits, like I love when people do LEDs and moving parts and all that stuff. But my opinion, I think the best suits are always the simple suits, like the keep it simple like idea, just because in my opinion, a lot of that stuff detracts from the suit itself. I think it's a cool like ooh and ah factor, but a lot of the time I think a lot of people that I've seen them wearing costumes like that rely so much on those effects that the acting aspects of it, or even the overall design, isn't quite there for me. But that's probably because I'm like old school suitor. Like I like very toony, and I like people not talking in their suit, getting really into character. And for me, characters like that seem way more alive than one that has animatronic eyes, animatronic ears, like glowing horns, like all this moving stuff. Because then it's
gotta make it super fancy.
It's almost like it's really cool that you can do that stuff, but at the same time, I don't think you have to. You just, I think it's almost overkill a lot of the time. it's pretty to look at, but I don't know. It's not something that I like. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I want to put it all on my suits and stuff, but
for the past 11 months that I've been working at Mixed Candy, one thing that I've come to notice, especially with making costumes, is less is more. It really is. You know, sometimes it's the little small details where you don't really need to go super crazy when it comes into the color coordinations and stuff, which makes the fursuit really stand out.
Okay, so you get to read that one while I eat.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like the perfect times for you to like take your like bites of pizza. All right, Kyle. So Kyle Morris says, referring to your previous question, I've been out of the fandom for a long time and haven't owned a suit for years, so I'm starting from scratch again. Anything you talk about is going to be helpful. Aww.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the way that I look at the fandom, it's like riding a bike. You get back on it and it's fine. You're going to be a little, you know, wiggly when you get on it, and then it's going to be like, oh, I remember all this. And it's the same thing with the fandom. Even if you've taken a big break for a while, I'd say the biggest changes have been, like, for that I've seen, the fandom used to predominantly live on LiveJournal and IRC. Way back in the day.
IRC, wow,
and
you
IRC.
brought it back.
And they used to live on forums. So it was like all over forums and stuff. But LiveJournal was like the go-to place. Like that's where you went and you shared your suits and you had all this stuff. And you had people posting a lot of stuff on DeviantArt because places like Furfinity, newer gallery sites, I mean, started to pop up. Even though DeviantArt is still around and solid. I like that.
Okay, so Manayasha says, I have to agree with the super advanced suits. The wearer forgets how to perform in suits. Also, it's hard with all that tech to have fun when you worry about damaging it. Shrugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, no, I 100% I agree on that. So, we get a lot of people asking for animatronic eyes and animatronic ears and all this stuff. They're 100% doable. I mean, we're going to be doing them on a puppet. But the thing is the puppet that I'm doing this on is a puppet that's going to live at my house and will barely ever be out. And that means that if I break it, I can fix it. If you're going to provide all these pieces to people that don't really know how to fix them, you're going to have a lot of issues. And even with the really simple costumes, as how many times like I mentioned, please don't put your suit in the dryer. People put their suits in the dryer. And it's not because people are dumb. It's just that people may not pay attention to it or just go, you know, I need to dry it real quick. I mean, I've burned suits in the past and I knew what I was doing. I'm like, oh, I'll put it on fluff dry real quick. It's just going to be a little bit of heat, but that way I can have it ready to go for tonight. And then I killed it. And it's just like, no. So with the animatronic stuff or all the moving parts, I get it because even when I've had a bunch of stuff that I'm like, oh, I don't want to like break, it detracted me from the acting. So I 100% understand that.
So Kai says, my question is very urgent, although I don't think the chat has refreshed.
Or maybe they're typing.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's a very awesome thing that I love about the fandom per se. It's all these nuances that you learn. It's not only just the fursuit itself, but it's also the way you act with the fursuit. And I can give wonderful examples, like being in J-Moth. I have never seen so many cute kimonos. And these Japanese fursuiters just knew exactly what to do when they were inside the fursuits. Like, it was incredible. Like, the mannerisms were on point. They knew how to look like the little cute bunny rabbit or a really adorable dog. It was amazing. And it's funny.
It's different acting over there.
Yeah.
Because, like, the way that I see it over there... Oh, that's why. The way that I see it over there is...
It's okay, Kai.
they act more like game characters, and here we act more like cartoons that we grew up with in a way. Like I try to.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Because think about it. Every time that they pose, they have like a fighting pose. Like
yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
It's like
really
watch every time you're like, can I take a picture of you? Like yeah. Or it'll be like an Insta, like, pose, and it'll be like, to me, it's like the idle screen of like the character that's about to.
It's like a Street Fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Or like one of the Final Fantasy characters when they're just like idling, like doing like that before they do their thing. But I mean, even the games that you play, you see that all the time.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
It's like the Persona game that you were just playing.
Persona! Which, if you guys haven't played, that is a fantastic game. Persona 5 for the PlayStation 4. Really
yeah,
good.
it's actually it's a good
it was so good that even my sister, who doesn't really game a lot, like stopped and had to look at what I was playing. She's like, "Wow, that looks really good."
No, that was a fun game. But like the way that I choose to act in suit here, I think I try to copy stuff that I see at like Disney movies, and a lot of the really exaggerated movements that I'll do in a really toony suit go back to the way that I used to watch like Looney Tunes and fall in love with them. Like the really exaggerated stuff. And I think it's actually really cool to see where people are from. You can kind of tell what cartoons they watched as kids.
Kai says, weird, it didn't show my question. Might as well start over. Well, Kai, I mean, if you want, you can always, retype the question.
You can retype the question.
We can answer it. So Vixpeen says, you bring up JMOF. Furries are traveling further now for cons. How do you personally pack for foreign cons? Clothing and suits in one bag? Oh, that's a wonderful question for my sister.
Because I have pizza in my mouth. I wasn't meant to eat pizza on the stream. It's just that it took forever to get the stream to work.
Thanks, stream, because I can eat all the pizza.
I was like, no. So going to JMOF this past January, I went and I sold at that con, which was nuts. So I took a fursuit bag, and my fursuit bag had clothing in it, but the suit that I wore was a partial, which you wore most of them because it was a cat. Yeah. So it was a partial. I didn't take a full suit this time. The previous time I took a clothing bag and a fursuit bag. So I took 2 bags because when you travel overseas, you have 2 bags. But this time I had to take 3 bags. Yeah, 3 bags for myself pretty much. And then we split it between you and Roscoe and because we had 3 people. So we split a bunch of bags up. But if you pack with vacuum bags, you can get away with, depending on the size of your suit, a suit in one bag and clothing and, of course, extra space. Because you're going to buy stuff. It's Japan. I mean, if you don't buy anything, that's kind of odd.
You guys should see my sister when she goes to a Pokemon store. It's like literally drugs. Like she's like, all right, guys, I'll see you in like 3 hours.
Well, it's like I delivered a full suit while I was there. It was a big padded suit, and I vacuum bagged it, and that was great because I had no clue how I would have taken that thing any other way. And we took like 2 sets of foot paws. I took 2 partials to sell, t-shirts, stuff. And we managed to get there somehow. I mean, I don't know. It was like magic. It was like Mary Poppins bag. When I opened that up, there was so much stuff coming out. But yeah, it's not bad. You can easily get away with packing it in 2. It just really depends on the size of your suit and if you're not scared of using vacuum bags. Because we stayed, well, even the hotel would let us use a vacuum if you asked for it. But we stayed in an Airbnb most of the time. And they have a vacuum. So, I mean, you could squish the stuff down. Yeah, on the way back, I used the vacuum bags to squish down all the plushies that I bought. So they were like pancakes, and I brought them home.
There were a lot of plushies.
But it's not bad. But yeah, I mean, furries are traveling a lot further to go to cons. JMOF used to be one of those cons that people were unsure to go because they didn't know if the English language was even a thing over there. But you would say it was easy. Yeah,
it really wasn't. It really wasn't that bad. It was actually. They tried to also speak English too. It's not like everybody just straight up spoke Japanese. I mean, if you know, my personal suggestion is if you plan on going on JMOF, and even if you don't know any lick of Japanese, just learn a word or 2, like "excuse me," which is like "sumimasen," which is arguably the most important phrase to say when you're over there. But overall, they speak English, and even if you can't understand them, they only speak Japanese. There's always the magical wonders of Google Translate.
Yeah, that's the thing. I definitely recommend renting a little MiFi hotspot, little Wi-Fi little box at the airport, keeping it during the whole stay, and then connecting your phone, your iPad, your devices, anything to it, because you can connect up to 8 devices to it. So it's really cool if you go with a group of people. I have another one.
Yeah, no, I'm actually getting that.
Feed me.
I'm supplying you with sustenance.
But it's worth it. Yeah, the dog's like, can I have it? No, it's gonna drop it.
Oh, it's okay. I'll help you out.
But it's just a lot easier if you have the internet, because the other thing is if you have no clue how to get around, you're gonna need internet so you know which trains to get on.
Hi, Gabo. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so easy to travel with that stuff. The thing about JMOF, I talked to them because I want them to kind of put more detailed instructions on how to get to the con. JMOF isn't in Tokyo, and that's the one thing that a lot of people think it is. It's in a town well, it's a city because it's huge,
Yeah.
called Toyohashi, and it's about 2 hours or so away on a bullet train.
On the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train.
Yeah, so if you don't know how to use the trains, it gets a little complicated because you will land in Tokyo. Either you will land in, well, it depends. You can also land in Osaka, or it just depends where you go. But yeah, the stream. Wait, no, I got it. Yeah, stupid thing.
Okay, so Vixpeen says, I feel like in the old days, the further foreign con people may go to the European things like Confuzzled and Euroference. But it's so nice that there's way more international con travel.
Oh, God, yeah. So I went to one in Brazil, and that one was one of those things that I didn't know what to expect. And I had a great time. It was a tiny convention compared to a lot of the stuff here in the States, but it was a blast. It's kind of like how it's been growing every year, but it's the same thing with JMOF. When I went, it was 998 people the first time, and then this time it was like 1,400 people. So it boosted up quite a bit. I know they have other events like ChemoCon, and I think there's another one too, but I think those are one-day events. But then we have like the one that just happened this last weekend, which is Nordic FuzzCon in Norway. Mm-hmm. And you have, well, EF is the big one, but like you said, Confuzzled and all that stuff. There's just so many options now to choose from. There's some in Mexico now.
That's crazy.
which is crazy because you don't expect all this stuff to pop up, but it's starting to get really popular.
Is there South American ones too?
I think the Colombians are trying to start one.
Isn't there one in Brazil?
The Brazil one's the one I was talking about.
Oh, that's the one you were talking about? Oh, okay.
But I know the Colombians said that they wanted to start something, which would be cool. But yeah, the Mexico one, I guess, is doing really well. So it's neat. There's
NFC
options.
is in Sweden. NFC?
Sweden. There we go. Yeah. NFC. That's the one. Nordic FuzzCon.
Nordic FuzzCon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Norway. Yeah. Sweden. There we go.
That's so interesting.
And that's one that people have told me it's really good and to go. So I wanted to check that one out since I've not been to Sweden.
There's a lot of furry conventions going on. Like,
well,
really?
There was the ones in Australia. I mean, there's still there's multiple ones in Australia too.
Okay, so Steven Z asks, did you get to see the inside / look at the construction of the Japanese suites?
Suits.
Oh,
Yeah,
suites.
suits.
The suites. Making it fancy.
The suites.
The suites.
I have one. I have a kimono suit that I got as a trade with K-Line, and it's built very similar to the way that we build stuff here, but that might be their specific stuff, because I saw an older K-Line and they used to be like resin built and it was very different. That was Tinka let me wear his, and it was different. It was very different. It was a lot smaller. The one that I got this year from K-Line, the head's a lot bigger. It's foam construction on a balaclava, very similar to the way that I do heads, which was pretty neat. I thought it was going to be really different. And the head's bigger. Overall, the head's like much larger. And the vision is more out to the sides. Like they worry more about the look instead of like you being able to see out of it as well or breathe out of it. I mean, I love the head. It's really cool because it's really different. But like when I build suits, I worry a lot about make sure that the person can see, make sure the person can breathe, make sure that like those two things are like the most important things so you don't feel claustrophobic. But the other thing is like their eyes fog up. So like he was talking about earlier, you'll see people like shoving these things in their mouth and it's a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I was like, why are they chewing on that electronic
device?
device?
It's like it looked like they're shoving like cookies in their mouth. Like
an electronic ice cream cookie.
But it's just a little box fan that they shove into their mouth. But the eyes are constructed completely different. A lot of their eyes, if you look at them up close, are printed. And either the place where they see out of, it's like a sunglass lens. And then they have the transparent area on the outside. It's kind of sandwiched together to create this like little compartment for the eye. The thing is it's a lot darker to see out of these suits and the fogging issue. But they look really cool in photos, and they have that nice shiny like look that a lot of the American suits don't have, because usually what we do, like I would say the most common build here in the States would be the white, the sclera, or whatever color you're going to make it, is plastic, and then the area that you see out of, which would be the iris and the pupil, is usually some sort of either plastic mesh or it's buckram, something like that. So I would say that's the biggest difference, but build-wise, it was really similar. I didn't get to see Atelier's suits on the inside. I was really curious about his, but I also didn't know anybody personally that had them, and I'm just not gonna grab somebody's head and look at it.
It's like, give me your fursuit.
Because that's kind of creepy. It's like, just don't do that. But his are a lot bigger. So if you see the fursuits, the kimonos that have the really big heads, those are usually that maker, Atelier Amara Joku. I'm going to botch his name, but I know it's Atelier, the first name, if you look it up. But his look like they're still foam construction, but I think it's hollow foam. I'm not sure because they're huge.
Yeah.
So, and you could see the differences between them.
Yeah.
You could see like ones looked very much like that maker and other ones looked like that. Because I would say there's like 3 makers that I recognized right away when I was there, which was K-Line. Because remember, and everybody wearing like the K-Line stuff. The Atelier person. And then it was Mochiri Works.
You know what I have to say that really like stood out for me besides like the amazing looking suits is the way they packaged their boxes. And they had like the warning signs and everything, but they had it all like cute anime, like furry warning signs, like, you know. Now, Steven C says, got to try one of Mochiri's suits and the padding is interesting. The heads also have fogging issues with the eyes. Yep.
Way back in the day, I wanted to do eyes that had that nice reflective look because I love that wet look of the eye. Especially when you look to the sides and somebody takes a picture, you have that glare.
It looks super kawaii.
It makes the eye look alive, which is really cool. So I tried something, but in my own way, with the cat that we did, that you got to wear around, by creating almost like a giant resin eye. But you didn't get to see out of the eye. So, okay, this dog wants to eat my pizza.
He wants the pizza. Yeah. The
pizza. But I created that eye as its own standalone thing, and you didn't see out of the eye itself. So you never had to worry about fogging issues because you were still seeing out of the eye duct, and the eye duct itself was mesh. So you could see without a problem. So when people would see the cat, they would see these nice, shiny, glossy eyes, and it looked a lot like a kimono head. But you were never seeing out of the eyes themselves, which is a cool idea. The only thing is you have a narrower field of vision because it was more like that because, you know, you're dealing with these giant eyes. But like the K-line head that I have, you can tell that if I were to wear that a lot outside without having that fan kind of around my neck, just in case, eventually it would be really fogged up. The one thing that I noticed that she does that worked a little bit better was her head's closer to like my mouth like this and my nose, so it kind of pushes it in a way that the air can escape, and that way it's not fogging. Because I mean, even us, if we have glasses, if we wear the masks like they wear in Japan all the time, it shoots up into your glasses and it fogs up because
you won't be able to see anything.
Yeah, your air, I mean, from your breath, it's hot, so it's going to mess that up. It's the same idea as these fursuit heads, and the one that I have at home, if I don't wear it right and I wear it to the side a little bit because the vision's a little more to the sides, the hot air gets trapped and goes up my eye. So if I started kind of running around the house with it because I wanted to see how quickly I could fog up the eye, kind of gauging like, okay, if I didn't have the fan, how long would I have, you know, before my eyes completely fogged up? Because once they fog up, it's pretty hard to see out of it. I mean, I see okay in suit without my glasses because I don't wear my glasses in suit at all. If you're further away, I can make out it's a person. I won't make out, you know, details and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But when you're dealing with like fogged up eyes and then not be able to see far away very well, it starts to get a little sketchy. So the eyes look super nice. I want to really try some cool stuff with eyes like that. But definitely you're constantly dealing with the fogging issue. That's the only bummer about that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when I tried I tried one kimono head, and the eyes, like when you looked inside, it looked that way, like that, where it's like normally.
Well, you have this. It's like it's almost like almost 2 hands, but it's like halfway.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of, I guess, like not nose bridge, because it's like a nose bridge is like out, but it's like the in between your eye, like that meat of your forehead in between your eyes. Your eyes are a little more out than you would with like a lot of the American heads. And it makes it a lot harder to see out of. But they have this really cute look that way. So I don't know with like the bigger head ones, like how they're seeing out of theirs, because the mouths are also shut.
Yeah.
which is kind of nuts. I mean, I get a little claustrophobic when suits don't have an open mouth.
Although it's interesting because especially if you have somebody who's wearing like a jumbo size kimono fursuit, like they usually have like an assistant. You know, have you seen that?
Yeah, they usually do.
They usually have somebody to like, come help them out, especially like walking up and down the stairs and stuff like that. But I always see like a big fursuit, and right next to it's like a Japanese person. Yeah,
it was over there. It was funny because they always had somebody like almost like a personal photographer. So they love photos. So they would come out in suit. They love photos. And then somebody was always kind of helping them a little bit. And then they take their break, do the fan thing and whatnot. But it's interesting because when I had fogging issues ages ago when I tried to do stuff with sunglass lenses, I kind of just discarded using that. Because I thought, well, if I'm having issues with fogging, I don't know if my customers would be okay with this. Over there, it's almost normal. So nobody cares. So it's weird because it's like, to me, it seems like a mistake that should be fixed because you're having impaired vision, but at the same time the eyes look so nice. So it's this, do you want a really good looking suit with that specific look and you're going to sacrifice your vision a little bit, or you can remove like the shiny aspect of it, have better vision, still have really solid looking eyes, but it's not the same look. So it's kind of like, you can tell people choose the one with the error, you know, as the go-to, because it is really cute. I mean, I like it. And I would still wear eyes that fog up. So,
well, look at that. Steven Z's on the roll once again. So Steven says, other eyes I have seen are like a painted press board that have hundreds of tiny holes in them.
Oh yeah. So actually I know exactly what this is. So it's a metal mesh that they use, and you can buy, I have some because I got it from one of the makers, because I got a head done by one of, he's like a kind of an up and coming maker over there, like a foam base. And I asked him, like, hey, I've seen the mesh that you guys use over there, and it's tiny, tiny holes. Like, what is it? And he says it's a metal mesh that they have, and you can buy it at hobby shops. But what they do is they print out a sticker. So the eyes are like a sticker. And then they stick it on this metal mesh, and then they go in with a pin, and they poke out the holes where you're going to see. And of course, they'll poke them out all around the pupil, and they'll poke them out around the iris, and then they'll leave the white area alone so it looks like a solid piece. I've seen quite a few people do that. And it's like vinyl sticker printer paper. You can buy it on Amazon, because I asked them, like, how are you doing this? And it's like, you can do it like that, and of course you can seal it. But the thing is because after you do all that, a lot of people are also putting the lens in the front to kind of, you know, create that really shiny seal. The issue with that I've seen is the eye itself, where the lens is, fogs up, so you see the fogging through the actual eye, and I think that looks bad in photos. And the ones that still fog up but they still look good is the whole eye is its own compartment, and the pupil itself is completely sealed from affecting the plastic in the front. So when it fogs up, it only fogs up in an area where you can see, so all your photos and everything will still look nice. So if you trip and fall, you still look cute. With the other ones, you look like you have glaucoma. So that's why. But that's it's just a different type of mesh that they have. But
one thing I gotta take into consideration with the whole like dressing up in fursuits, because once again, I'm still pretty fresh when it comes into this. I know my sister's been doing it for a long time, but I've only really been exposed to it like heavily for like the past I want to say close to a year. What I love about the fandom and what I really enjoy about all these conventions is the way people change, and for the better, the way people change when they wear the fursuits, you know. I understand that, you know, everybody's different. Everybody has their own different type of personality. But usually for the most part, from what I see when they put on the fursuit, they turn into their own, you know, like persona, or they turn into their character. And that's something that always just puts a smile on my face. And I saw a lot of that in JMOF. But, you know, come FWA, if you guys in the stream are going to come to FWA, come say hi to us. I would love to see you with and without the fursuit.
Yeah, it's like, so this is the thing, because, like, now this is going past the hour mark. I wanted to keep this like at an hour. So what I wanted to do with this is we want to try to do this at least once a week. Get to talk for a little bit, maybe anywhere from, like, you know, 45 minutes to an hour. Try not to go past the hour mark too much so we don't bore you guys to death. But that way we can have topics of conversation. And Andres and I can be doing this a lot because I think it's more fun to have two people kind of interacting. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm not going to be eating like a piggy every single time. The pizza
you
just
might
arrived.
See me eat, so it's okay.
That's the problem with that. But we want to have like fun topics and everything. So if you guys haven't joined my Twitter, it's under Latin Vixen. Yours is under Team Chimera.
Team Chimera.
So I will link his on mine. So you guys, if you guys want to follow us and then see what we're doing, we're going to be talking about a ton of different topics. We want to try to stream at different places. We want to stream
Jesus.
as the dog falls. We want to try to stream at FWA as well because it'll be our next convention. So we want to try to get into the streaming thing pretty heavy just because it's fun and it gets you guys to interact with us and we can read your questions and kind of have this like back and forth conversation, which is really fun.
Exactly.
But I want to close this up for the night. I want to say thank you to everybody that came.
And thank you to the one that donated as well. That was very sweet.
Thank you very much. That was actually really sweet. We will have a more organized chat next time. The stream health seems to have, I don't know, fixed itself.
I think it starts off bad, but then it's just
I don't know what happened. I'm still trying to figure out some little things with Streamlabs, and this is the first time doing it here at the shop. We're going to have some streams that will actually show suits that we're working on. Anything that we do after hours, of course, is not going to be like really work-related stuff. It'll be like other things. If you guys want to see us working on like the puppets, all this other stuff that we're going to do, this is because this is all after hours. After hours, I'll be streaming for about an hour. We're probably going to choose maybe Thursdays to stream because it'll be easier.
For the most part, it'll be Thursdays.
If it switches, I will tell you guys when it does. And that way, just stay up to date with Twitter and everything. So thank you so much for, watching us ramble and talk about furries and whatnot. And it was great to talk with you guys, answer questions.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys will be able to come join in come next week Thursday. And we'll be talking about more other fun things as we eat some pizza.
Exactly. No. It's not going to be
more pizza.
It's not going to be pizza Thursdays because I'm going to get huge that way. And we need to get on diet time. So no.
So Kyle Morris says, take care and all the best, guys. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Been very informative. We appreciate it, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. Bye, everybody.
And once again, bye, stream.
Have a great night.
Take it
See
easy,
you guys later. Bye.